program does not represent the views of 91.5 WDBK-FM or Camden County College. The Sports Council, a sports debate show from the WDBK Sports Department where the debate rages on, hot takes, discussion, and more. Here is the WDBK Sports Council.
And welcome to 91.5 WDBK for the Sports Council, live on 91.5. This is Vincent Foch behind the mic for the 1 o'clock hour. Apologies, folks, for starting about 20 minutes behind. A lot was going on today. I was running late. I was in standstill traffic today, of course. And this is something where those of you traveling on 295, if you're planning to travel on 295 south, well, don't plan on it. Plan to go around it because there's currently an emergency situation going on where exits 29, if I'm not wrong, 26, sorry, exit 26 was shut down halfway for either a tree fell or something. So that was causing a lot of havoc, literally standstill traffic. I left about an hour ago to get here, and it usually only takes me about 20, 25 minutes to get here. It took me over an hour to get here, so not great. So if you're planning to take 295 south, there you go. You've just been warned. I wouldn't count on doing that. I wouldn't prefer doing that. But yes, what's going on? But this is a sports council, right? Enough on the windy situation that is going on today. By the way, happy Halloween. I'm wearing orange and black currently right now. I'm dressed up in probably the best costume possible. Vince, the sports talk show host. I know. The cheers, I can already hear them happening on your side of the line. I understand. I know. Great costume idea, right? Vince, the talk show host. Great. But yes, this is the Sports Council. And if you want to text into the show, remember our text line, 856-345-9325. Once again, 856-345-9325. If you want to be a part of the conversation at hand, or if you have an opinion as well on the conversation at hand. So, well, what's been going on in the sports world? Before I get into Philly sports, as you know, that's mainly what I cover and talk about. And yes, if you were asking, it's just me on the panel. That's it. Our other guys on the panel just couldn't make it. There was, again, like I said, a lot going on today. But enough of that. I've already talked enough about why we started as late as we did. But last night, I'll start off with Thursday night football, right? The Ravens, 28-6 over the Dolphins. Now, breaking news, the Dolphins did indeed fire somebody. Wasn't their head coach, but it was a higher up, right? And as high as you probably can get up. GM of the Dolphins was officially fired. Now, yes, with that came, of course, the 28-6 loss they had last night against the Baltimore Ravens. So, when you look at a game like this, you know the Baltimore Ravens had to win it. No question about it. They had to. You were 2-5 coming into this game, right? You're obviously, injuries have not been treating you well, but you won your past game against the Bears. You came into the game against the Dolphins. It was a must-win game. The game against the Bears, the game against the Dolphins, must-wins. And they did. So now you're sitting at a point, look where we are right now, folks. We're at week 9. Literally the middle of the NFL season. Out of 18 weeks, we are literally right in the middle of the NFL season. Can't believe I'm saying this. But yes, we are. So the Ravens boosted up to 3-5, and this was something where they were able to have somewhat of an even game. No one scored in the fourth quarter. They were able to hold the Dolphins to just 2 field goals, which explains the 6 points they had. And were able to even out the scoring, 14 points in the first half and then 14 points in the second half for Baltimore. Now, this is something where Lamar Jackson, it's really been thriving again. Great to see him really getting back in the order of things once again from his injury, right? But was able to really get back on the passing side of things once again. You look at their 2 touchdown drives in the third quarter, 11 plays for 68 yards, around 6-minute drives. Their second drive was about 4 plays for 60 yards. Only took 2 minutes off the clock, right, in that third quarter. So Their drives, oh man, what a voice crack. Holy mackerel. Let's not talk about that, folks. Explains the day I'm having, right? But mainly their drives and their touchdown drives were time consuming. I mean, you look at all the touchdown drives that they had. I mean, you look at the one in the second quarter was about 3.5 minutes. The one in the third quarter at the 8:09 mark when they scored the touchdown, that took around 6 minutes to get down there. So, or excuse me, actually almost 7 minutes, 6:51. So almost 7 minutes it took for them to get down the field, 11 plays with 68 yards. So this was something where they were getting those time-consuming drives, and they were kind of wearing it into them. And, of course, when you get into the second half of the game, you want to have the team completely buried. And especially against a team like the Dolphins, you want to have them buried. You really do. This is something where you don't want to give them any shot of coming back. I mean, are the Dolphins a good team? No, but you don't want to give them any of that feel where they could possibly kind of wiggle their way back into the game once again. And the Ravens made sure that didn't happen. But Lamar Jackson overall with his short pass game was probably the star of last night. And overall, I mean, he had an incredible QB rating, something similar to what we've been seeing out of Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson's QB rating last night was 152.99. So pretty damn near perfect. And that was similar, again, when I say similar to Hurts. Hurts had a perfect passer rating 2 weeks ago with a 158. And then last week, Hurts had 152. Well, Jackson, again, is matching that. 152.99. 18 out of 23 for his passing, 204 yards. And when I mean very similar to Hurts, I mean very similar to Hurts. He also had 4 passing touchdowns like Hurts did last week. So Lamar being very conservative with the ball and no turnovers, which was the key. And this was something where, again, you look at a no turnover game like this, and that's a big piece on why they were able to put the Dolphins away. Literally gave them nothing. And again, the Dolphins are not a good team. I get that, but you never know. This is the NFL. Weird things can happen. This whole season has been weird. We've seen so many big-time comebacks this year. It's unbelievable. Literally week 1, they didn't wait around. NFL did not wait around. We saw, I mean, the Ravens know what a big-time comeback is, right? We saw it with the Bills in week 1, except the Ravens were on the wrong side of that, of course, right? But Bills were the ones that came back that game. But last week with the Jets and the Bengals. Jets were down by 16. They came back with that in the fourth quarter, and they won the game. The Jets came back and actually won a game. Usually they find ways to lose games, but that was weird to see. So as weird as it is to see the Jets making a comeback, that should pretty much describe exactly what I mean by this season has been weird when the Jets find a way to come back and win a game. That's how you know this is a weird season, folks. That's exactly how you know. So, going back to that point, anything's possible. If New York Jets can do it, anyone can do it, right? So that's why, again, I get they played the Dolphins, but you want to make sure you want to make sure that they're buried, they're dead. And the Ravens did so. They had some short drives, and they also had time-consuming drives, and especially on those touchdowns in that second half, they had time-consuming drives where they beat them to a pulp. Derrick Henry showed up yesterday in a game where he needed to. 19 touches, I should say, for 119 yards with a 35-yard long. So this has been a Ravens offense, as we know this year, that has not been clicking in many ways, and Derrick Henry especially. The fumbles have been, the turnovers by Henry have been outrageous. But this was a game for the Ravens where you need to be knocked in the face. And again, you're at the midseason point. You have 5 losses. You can still fight your way back in a big-time way, right? I mean, even look at your division right now. You definitely can fight your way back. The Steelers are leading your division, but they're 4-3. The team that is still in front of you is the Bengals. So, and the Bengals are 3-5 as well. So this is, anything but a gone season for the Bengals. This is 100% manageable for sure. The Steelers are on a 2-game losing streak. The Bengals lost against the Jets. And then, of course, you have the Browns, which, again, they're the Browns. They're done. They're 2-6. They don't got, what do they have on offense? Myles Garrett's being held hostage there. I mean, it's just, Browns are a whole nother situation, right? We all know that. So definitely 100% manageable for the Ravens. And when I mean manageable for the Ravens, I honestly believe that they can take the North. I really believe that. I believe they can come back and take the North because the way the Steelers are going right now, the way their momentum is going, the way, how inconsistent the Steelers have been, I think this gives a great opportunity for Baltimore to go right ahead of them. I mean, just think about it. Steelers get another loss. The Ravens get another win. Next thing you know, they're tied in wins. So you're at that point in the NFL season where at the halfway point, you kind of get that feel of, okay, we know where the teams are. We kind of have that feel for where certain teams are. And this is that time of the season where you can kind of sense a possible comeback from certain teams. And of course, what a lot of people are focusing on right now is, okay, are the Ravens going to be one of those teams that absolutely turns everything around? And something else that people are asking is people are focusing on teams like the Colts and the Patriots, where, okay, let's watch them closely to make sure that they don't pull a Arizona Cardinals. Remember the season the Arizona Cardinals went undefeated? Next thing you know, they finished it barely above 500, made the wild card. So that's exactly what I mean by watching these teams that, aren't expected to be as good as they are. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to dish on the Patriots too much, and I don't want to dish on the Colts too much. They have talent. But were they expected to be here? No. So this is what I mean. I'm not saying they're an extremely bad team. I'm not saying the Patriots and the Colts, have on a level with the Dolphins or anything. Okay, I'm not going there. But these are the teams to watch to see if they're really legit. You made it through the first half of the season. Well, after this week, you'll make it through the first half of the season. So we'll take the stats that we see, and we'll compare them to the next 9 weeks leading to the postseason. This is the time when we see these teams that we didn't expect to be where they are, see if they can continue to prove themselves, like the Colts, like the Pats, right? And also you have some teams that kind of had a 50-50 first half of the season, like the Jags, who are 4-3 right now. They had a great win against the Chiefs, right? We all remember that when Trevor Lawrence, he fell down, got back up, and somehow the Chiefs didn't get him. He went into the end zone for the touchdown, won that game, right? That was a great win. And the Jags haven't seen a W since. Duval has been struggling. Now, even with the Jags, there's another one. They have a great opportunity this week to get back to their winning ways again. You're going up against the Raiders in Vegas, but you're going up against the Raiders, who are a team that is the definition of a struggle. So there's a good possibility for you to get back. Another team that is kind of on that 50-50 area right now is the Houston Texans. They are not where they were predicted to be at all. They're 3-4. So we'll see what they have to offer in these next weeks as they play not an easy opponent. They'll be in Houston, but they play, yes, Jarrett's little horsies, right? The Denver Broncos. So not an easy task. So this is something where you get teams like that aren't where they're supposed to be. And you also have teams where I'll rephrase it. You have teams that are lower than they're supposed to be, and you have teams that are higher than where they're supposed to be. So this is that point in the you're in the middle of the season where, okay, we want to see if these teams are legitimate, right? Are they really as good as they are, or are these other teams really as bad as they are? So the middle portion of the season, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important times because it gets to really show what a good football team is. A team that may not start the way they want, but is able to develop and get back to the winning side of things, is able to bounce back. That is what a good football team is. A team that is able to get knocked in the face and not roll over, but to bounce back and come back at you harder than ever before. So we'll see exactly what develops of that. But we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back in a matter of moments here on the Sports Council for your 1 o'clock hour. Of course, Vincent Fush behind the mic. I am lonely. I'm by myself. I feel so sad. I'm lonesome tonight. Whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But we're going to get back to some more talk radio, matter of moments, sports talk radio in a matter of moments here on 91.5 WDBK. Did you know that Camden County College has a food pantry? Camden County College has food pantries open to assist students in need of food and various supplies. For donations or assistance about the pantries, please contact Associate Dean Tenuto at jtenuto@camdencc.edu for food distribution. The marketplace is stocked with monetary and food donations by our college community. You can donate through the marketplace's Amazon wish list, through the foundation, or by stopping by as well. Please consider donating.
Did you know about the TRIO Student Support Services Program? The federally funded TRIO program is designed to enable low-income college students, first-generation college students, and students with a documented disability to stay in college until they earn their degree or transfer to a four-year institution. The Student Support Services Program at Camden County College will assist students with basic college requirements, provide opportunities for academic development, and motivate students towards the successful completion of their associate's degree or transfer to a four-year college. Student Support Services will provide academic and career advisement, tutoring assistance, completion of financial aid forms, and much more. Contact TRIO at 856-968-1335. You can also email them at studentsupport@camdencc.edu. The location to find out more information about this program is on Camden County College's Camden campus, located on the second floor of College Hall. The TRIO Student Support Services Program, where the students are destined for success.
Every single year. So speaking of scary, yeah, you could say we're in the Halloween mood here on 91.5, right? But yes, welcome back to the Sports Council live on 91.5. Vincent Foch behind the mic for your 1 o'clock hour. Make sure that, again, to text into the show, utilize the text line 856-345-9325 if you want to be a part of the conversation at hand. And I have a little bit of a question for you guys, right? What moves are you looking for the Eagles to make in this bye week, right? Now, of course, we know the Eagles have the Week 9 bye, and not only do they have the Week 9 bye, but they are the closers of the Week 10. So, of course, playing Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, right? So we have that under our belt. So what moves, and this is something you could text in the show with, again, leave your name and where you're texting in from. I want to hear your guys' opinion on who you think the Eagles should pick up. Quite interesting, right? Now, where we stand with the Birds, of course, is a lot of people are, pointing their fingers at many, many different situations that the Eagles could honestly roll in. And I mean, a lot of people obviously are pointing to the cornerback position. They want the end position as well filled. And I absolutely agree. I mean, this is something that's been haunting the Eagles for pretty much the entire season. And we know the move that happened not that long ago, 2 days ago to be exact, where the Eagles traded for Michael Carter II, which, again, they were able to get a 2027 seventh-round pick in exchange, and they gave away wide receiver John Mechie III and a 2027 sixth-rounder to the Jets. And, of course, usually when people see a trade from the Jets, they can think anything but horror. But in this area, I mean, it's a pickup. It's nothing I'm jumping out of my seat for. I mean, it's not like he's not a really big-time starter. And Jets fans, when you ask the Jets fans about really what he was about in New York, they basically all give me the same exact response as basically, he's a player. I'm like, all right, thank you. Thank you very much for those confident, intriguing words. I appreciate it. But, yeah, so it's a move, and this is something where, Howie's kind of just trying to feel out the market. Now, as for the big moves, and this is something that's been kind of thrown around that people have been releasing their opinions on, but the Myles Garrett area. Now, if you don't know who Myles Garrett is, I brought him up earlier in the Sports Council, is a big-time force for this Cleveland Browns defense. Now, they don't have much of a force over in Cleveland. They don't have many forces, I should say, over in Cleveland. But this is a guy who has the talent, and he's in his prime, and he is a defensive end, right? Now, there was situations coming up last year of him possibly leaving Cleveland. Well, he didn't. Now, of course, when you look at this entire situation, I mean, he has a $204.7 million contract, and it was an extension signed with the Cleveland Browns, right? Now, at this time, of course, the Eagles are looking at him, and this has been the whole situation that has been coming out these past, I should say, not these past weeks, these past couple of days. Now, what I've been seeing is what the Eagles will have to give up is quite a lot, obviously. You're trading for one of the best defensive ends in the league in his prime. So what I've been seeing is if the Eagles were looking to trade for him, they would have to give up 2 first-rounders and plus possibly another one of their top guys. One person gave a little bit of a mock trade where they give up 2 first-rounders and Tanner McKee. Now, that I don't actually have a problem with. Now, I know we love Tanner McKee, okay? I love Tanner McKee. He's the first backup quarterback that we've had that's been reliable probably since Nick Foles. And, not probably, yes, since Nick Foles. We had Marcus Mariota. We had all this stuff since then, right? We had Kenny Pickett, obviously. So we were going through the fields. So Tanner McKee, I love him. He was great. It was even better to see him absolutely destroy the Cowboys last year and Kelly Green when Hurts had his injury. But as much as I love McKee, I don't necessarily know how he's going to really flourish in Philadelphia. Again, the only time he'll really get to show off what he's about is if, God forbid, Jalen Hurts goes down, and we do not want to see that. So I could definitely see that being a possibility. Now, here's the only thing. Again, this is going to be kind of that area. Again, 2 first-rounders. This is something where Howie Roseman he loves, I mean, you already know, he loves the picks that he has, and he loves being able to finagle and I almost want to say fleece. I mean, he does good with fleecing, but in the draft, he's something else. Now, with the first rounders, you had Brandon Graham coming back up, but that's going to be short term. He's gonna. He was retired and then he came back, and this year. This is probably it. Main reason, of course, Brandon Graham came back was because he saw the Eagles were in a little bit of an issue. Constant injuries, defensive end injuries, Nolan Smith injured. It was just Azeez Ojulari, another end injured. So it was just injury after injury after injury. BG saw that and said, you know what, I have to come back to help. And especially after the week that the Eagles defensive line had last week, that definitely, it gives you some hope. They had 5 sacks last week. They were chasing Jackson Dart around like a lost puppy. Again, they probably should have had more sacks than they did last week. But, again, Jackson Dart, credit to him. He's a talented, fantastic, scrambling quarterback. Was able to be extremely slippery, and he did absolutely so last week. So the Eagles' defensive line, even without Brandon Graham and the injuries they had, they were able to perform. Guys like Jalen Hunt, beautiful, right? Performance was great. But still, and I'm talking about in clutch situations, we already know this defensive line is not where it was last year in terms of the pressure rate. And even though they had a good week last week, you don't want to constantly rely and say, okay, this is exactly what's going to happen every single week now for now on. So BG coming back helps. It's a short-term fix. It's not going to last forever. Getting Myles Garrett in here, again, you're going to have to give up a lot. And again, exactly what I went over with the losing two first-rounders and possibly Tanner McKee is a mock draft that was put out there. Another guy said they don't lose any player that's currently on the squad. They give up 3 first-rounders. So this is, when you look at this situation, you don't want to go too above and beyond. And when I look at this in general, I see this as being an emergency situation where if you need to do it, you need to do it. And I also see it as if the deal is there, and we all know how the Cleveland Browns are with negotiating. They're not the brightest people in the world, and we've seen this happen before. But still, if the deal presents itself, you already know Howie Roseman's going to take it. And if the deal really presents itself, he'll probably try to finagle something else out of it. But you already know the Browns aren't going to give him up for, obviously, one first rounder and a player. I mean, they're going to want something, and not just any player. They're going to want a guy that can really perform. And we know the desperation that the Cleveland Browns are in. So this is why people are throwing Tanner McKee into the mix, because we know the area that the Browns are in currently for looking for a reliable quarterback. And has Tanner McKee shown that he is reliable? Absolutely. Last year, he had many examples of it. This preseason, he had many examples of it. So that's why McKee gets thrown into the mix with that possible mock trade. Now, will it happen? I don't know. This is something where if the Eagles were looking to make a big-time move, I wish they could have done it a little bit earlier, because going into the bye week, it would give that possible new player time to really develop into the system. So that's the only thing where I'm at right now. Like, for example, if something was to happen, not this weekend, but say next week around Monday, Tuesday, or something like that, yeah, you don't play until that following Monday. But again, it takes time for a guy to get into the system. I mean, why do you think Brandon Graham didn't just come out and start playing? Why do you think Jacorian Bennett didn't come out and just start playing? These guys were not out because of injury-related purposes. These guys were out just because they need to get back into the system once again. And Brandon Graham, I mean, he just got back into the team. He literally he re-signed. So, again, getting back into the system once again. Getting those practice reps. So that's, I wish they would have done it a little bit earlier, but we'll see what develops as time moves on with the Birds. But still, coming out of a great week, and I mentioned this in my Monday Midday Madness show, which is Mondays at 1 o'clock. If you want to tune in there, go over everything, usually Philly sports. But the offense was able to explode once again. And the Eagles, and the way that I'm seeing how the Eagles are developing, especially going down the line, is they're showing they can perform if they don't have some key players there. And we've seen it from the defense, and we've seen it from the offense. I mean, you look at what the defense was missing for the Birds, right? They didn't have guys like Azeez Ojulari. Cam Jurgens wasn't there for the offensive line. Adoree Jackson wasn't there for the defensive secondary. A.J. Brown wasn't there for the offense wide receiver position. So these were key injuries that happened for the Eagles. And literally, key, your starting center was not there, but yet you still put over, close to 300 rushing yards with your backup center, Brett Toth, in there. And this is something that I don't think is talked about enough, especially on last week's performance, is, yes, was the run game great? Yes. What, did you have two of your running backs go over that 100-yard limit? Yes. But I don't think enough people are talking about the offensive line. The offensive line was building up those gaps. The blocks were incredible, especially on some of the screenplays that we noticed. They were absolutely beautiful. They were picking up their guys. And yes, what was New York having spies out for Barkley and Tank Bigsby? Absolutely they were. Absolutely. But the line was able to pick it up. And this is something that goes in to show you that, for an offensive line that's been struggling, and of course, injuries have not been helping, right? You have Todd Steen in there. Lane Johnson was hurt for a couple games, literally back-to-back games, right? This is something where, the offensive line has been going through its issues all year. And their ability to play as well as they did last week really brings a great smile to my face. And, still, this is absolutely great to see. The play action was really incredible to watch. The play action was great to watch, especially out of the shotgun. This is something overall, and we've known how Kevin Patullo's been. I mean, his play calling out of the shotgun can sometimes be controversial. Don't get me wrong, and I put sometimes in big quotes, right? I put that in big quotes. But the screenplay is something that I've been wanting to see the Eagles use throughout this entire season. And they weren't really doing so, but last week they did, and they had the blockers out perfectly in front of them, and they were able to use that. And this is something where, again, the New York Giants defense were playing the right boxes. They were filling in those right boxes on the defense. So if they want to play their defense like that, throw the screen into the run blitzing side. And, of course, we know what opposing teams think of the Eagles. I mean, especially on the blitz. And no one knows this better than Todd Bowles, who is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is why a lot of people are saying, why have the Eagles not have a lot of success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially in the Jalen Hurts era? Well, the Eagles' offense, as good as it's been, as crazy as it's been, success-wise in recent years, they still have not been great with picking up the blitz. But I've been seeing improvement with that this year. And this is something where, especially last game, when I couldn't believe my eyes seeing the screens that were being thrown and the blocking that I saw, they were throwing it. If they want to be aggressive and fill those right boxes, throw it into the blitzing side with this screenplay and be able to, again, the gaps are there. They were created. Barkley had some good rushes after receptions last week. Yards after catch, in other words, right? But they were able to get the ball out. And, again, it was not the hero play that everyone expects to see countlessly. But they were able to complete it. And this is something that not just were they able to complete it, but they were able to really force it down New York's throats. And, I mean, he ended up having longs of 12 yards. I mean, Saquon Barkley, for his receiving yards, he had 4 receptions for 24 yards. May not seem like a lot, but it's something where on those 24 yards, there were certain screen passes. And, of course, that long with the 12-yard, I mean, there you go. So, again, Saquon, they were able to utilize him with the screen. And this is, I mean, did they do it a lot? No, but they did it in key situations, and it was absolutely great to see. And, of course, you want to talk about the run game. Well, I'm not even going to lie. I have to talk about Tank Bigsby. Of course, last week, yes, we had 2 running backs over the 100-yard mark, and that's something that was great to see, especially seeing the Eagles' run game explode finally as Tank Bigsby, 104 yards for 9 touches and a 29-yard long. And, of course, that 29-yard long was on that 2nd and 26. Now, this is something I want to talk about and I want to cover because it's honestly ridiculous that in this day of age, with all the technology that is in the NFL, there are multiple different reports out there for this. And this really gets me angry because this means a lot, these little yard changes. And what I'm referring to is on that Tank Bigsby run, there are some reports that say it's a 2nd and 31 with a 31-yard pickup that Bigsby had on that second down. Some reports have out there that it was 2nd and 31 and he had a 31-yard pickup. Now, these aren't just reporters on the side. This is like on the NFL page. Like there is one that says the NFL page. It says Bigsby with a 31-yard run on a 2nd and 31 got the first down. On the Eagles main page, it says Bigsby with a 31-yard pickup. But then that's the title. But then you read more into the story and it says Bigsby with a 29-yard run with a 2nd and 26. I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, this day and age, with the technology we have, the spotting technology, I mean, especially the spotting technology, right? The chain gang's gone. We have to get it right. No, this is ridiculous. There's no reason that there should be this many reports with different numbers. But this is, and I even put this out on my Eagles Chat YouTube channel, and I had some people in the comment section say, I thought it was a 31-yard pickup. Well, folks, I'm going with the 2nd and 26 because you watch on the TV broadcast, it says 2nd and 31. But the box score that was reported for that game says it was a 2nd and 26 for a 29-yard pickup. So whether the spotters had it wrong or the people on the TV had it wrong, I don't know. But the box score says it was a 2nd and 26 with Bigsby picking up a 29-yard run, which got the first down. So if the box score says it, that's what I'm going with. And this is the official box score of the game, by the way. No secondary source, the official box score that is put out by the NFL. And it says on a 2nd and 26, Bigsby with a 29-yard pickup for the first down. So if the box score says that, that's what I'm going with, period. I don't care about what these other journalists or other sports writers have to say. The box score says it. That's the way it is. I'm going with that. And that's exactly what I told some of the people that in my comment section on Eagles Chat. Again, if you're not following or subscribed to my Eagles Chat YouTube channel, make sure to do so. We have daily updates on your birds. We're constantly talking about the Eagles with the green and black and silver, right? Constantly doing talk on them. Make sure to check that out. Again, it's Eagles Chat just on YouTube, and you can also check us out on Instagram at Chat Eagles. We have constant updates on your birds, and especially in the bye week with the guys that were looking to get back rock and roll. Once again, the injuries like Cam Jurgens, A.J. Brown, there are reports saying he's looking like he'll be ready to go coming back into Week 10 is with his hamstring injury. As we know, A.J. Brown, the beginning of the season, was having some issues with his hamstring back towards Week 1. So, again, lots to cover. But literally on Eagles Chat, I had to go back to the people in comments and say, I get your confusion. I understand it's kind of ridiculous that we have all these different reports saying different things, but in this day and age with the technology. But the box score says this. I'm going with that. Box score says 2nd and 26 with a 29-yard pickup. But either way, it's extremely incredible to see a conversion like that. And Tank Bigsby, not only was he getting beautiful gaps by his offensive line, but he was getting beautiful gaps by bowling over guys. He was creating his own gaps. I mean, he was dragging guys. So Bigsby, and again, you look at Tank Bigsby, he was brought in here originally from the Jacksonville Jaguars to be, originally a lot of people thought, and his original position was to be a returner. Because, the Eagles had Will Shipley, right? A.J. Dillon was just brought in, right? Speaking of injuries, right? But no, A.J. Dillon was brought in from Green Bay. I mean, everyone was talking about the quad duo, right? With the huge quads of Saquon Barkley and A.J. Dillon. So Tank Bigsby was thought to just be, okay, we'll bring him in. And people were saying, why'd you get another running back for? Come on, Howie. I mean, that's still not a bad pickup, but come on, right? Well, he's proving to be a little more than a returner, I think. I reckon so. Incredible game. So we'll see what happens. Eagles fans, we get a little break. We don't got to yell at the TVs. You can put your blood pressure medication, your heart medication away. We don't have to have blood pressure through the roof. Honestly surprised, and I say this a lot, that a blood pressure and a heart medication company does not sponsor the Philadelphia Eagles. Because if they did, I'm sure it would be beautiful to pick up so much money. I mean, Jefferson Health, I think, sponsors the Birds. So, I mean, there's a start. See, they know what they're doing, right? Jefferson Health, they know exactly what they're doing by sponsoring the Eagles. I'm pretty sure they are a sponsor of the Birds, if I'm not wrong. But either way, it's a smart decision. Because a lot of Eagles fans need medical attention, I'm sure, after watching the Eagles games, mentally and physically. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. As last week was the first Eagles win this season, where it feels like I didn't just go through an absolute tornado. First comfortable win. I'll put it like that. First comfortable win. But still, we'll see what happens moving down the line. But that's going to do it for the Sports Council this week. Yes, folks, again, just me. No panel. I'm all by myself. I'm very, very lonely. But hey, what are you going to do, right? We had a little bit of spooky talk, right? But have a happy Halloween, everyone. Make sure to be safe. Enjoy yourself outside. It is sunny, but it is windy. So be careful if you're traveling, or as well just for trick-or-treating. Just make sure no kids get hit by a huge limb of a tree. I'm pretty sure I think that's why the whole situation with 295 was the way it was, because I think a tree may have fallen on the road. So just be careful. Enjoy yourself. Have a happy Halloween. Get those tricks and treats, things like that, right? And enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend. And yes, folks, we get a break from the birds. We'll see what happens coming week 10. Have a good one, folks.
Are you ready to transfer or beginning your transfer research? Then join Transfer Services for a transfer fair at the Camden City campus on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Over 20 representatives from four-year institutions will be available